Welcome to Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. My name is Jake, and picture this. You're at the racetrack, you've had a ton of fun for 3 days with, let's say, a bright pink BMW, and now it's time, after a long, fun, fast, new personal best, hot, sweaty weekend, it's time to load up your trailer and get the heck out of here and go home. Now, a lot of us, when we leave these racetracks, have some pretty long drives. Wouldn't it be nice, I've always thought, if I could get on the interstate with my trailer, hit a button, and have the truck do a lot of the work for me and get me home? Well, this is the 2022 Chevy Silverado 1500 High Country with SuperCruise, and it can do that because SuperCruise works with a trailer. All right, so let's talk about SuperCruise before we start driving with it, because SuperCruise is different from a lot of these other driver assistance systems. Now, it's important to mention that there are no self-driving cars on the road today, not even Teslas, not even trucks and cars with SuperCruise, but this, to me, is perhaps the most advanced system that we've got on the market today, and here is why. Unlike everyone else except Ford with their new Blue Cruise system, General Motors took a different approach with SuperCruise. All these other systems rely on cameras and sensors only to figure out where you are, where you're going, where the road goes, where the road lines are, all that good stuff. They generally do a pretty okay job of it for being systems that rely on you keeping alert and keeping your hand more or less on the steering wheel most of the time. GM said we want to do hands-free driving. Still have to have you paying attention, but we want to make sure you can have your hands totally off the steering wheel. So what did they do differently? Well, first things first, they've mapped the roads. So SuperCruise is a highway-based driver assistance system that works on over 200,000 miles of highways. They are expanding how many highways and roadways it works on, but right now it's 200,000 plus miles. You can go on Chevrolet.com and see where SuperCruise works or doesn't. So if you're looking to do a long highway drive like I am about to do, then you can see where everything goes or doesn't. Now that's a big deal because the truck now knows where the roads go before the cameras and sensors start picking up on things. It still uses cameras and sensors for the sake of lane lines and other cars and that sort of thing, but having the mapped roads really makes things so much better. It makes things so much safer. That is the first step in enabling this hands-free stuff. Now, when we spin the camera around, let's take a look at this steering wheel. So there's two things going on here, one of which is this light bar. So this light bar lights up 3 different colors based on the status of SuperCruise. So it will light up green if everything is functioning and SuperCruise is turned on and you are driving hands-free. It will flash green at you if you need to pay more attention. It will light up blue if adaptive cruise control is working, but you have to take over steering. And it will light up red if the system is not working for whatever reason, whether there's a fault or whether you have entered into a zone where SuperCruise is not in a mapped road, something like that. It will light up red to alert you what's going on. Now, I mentioned this is hands-free to a point, and that's because you have to keep your eyes and head pointed mostly forward. So they do that with a little sensor right here. So this is a little camera, and it keeps an eye on your eyes and where your head is pointed. Now, GM says they're not sending any information back anywhere. The camera is just focused on what it thinks is a human head and your eyes and making sure that you are looking forward for the most part. So that is the other thing that enables SuperCruise. So here and here are the two things that make all the difference. Now, as far as how you turn this whole system on, this whole series of buttons on the steering wheel are what you use to control it. So this is your regular cruise control button that will turn on adaptive cruise control. This is your button that will set your distance for following. You use this guy up and down to set the speed you want. This will cancel. And then this is where the magic happens. So this is the button that when you push, will turn SuperCruise on. Now, SuperCruise has to know where you are, and it will do that by letting you know in the gauge cluster. It will put a little white steering wheel icon in the cluster, kind of up over here. Obviously, I'm parked, and I'm in a park, so it doesn't know where I am. It does not have road information. If I push SuperCruise right now, it'll tell you SuperCruise is unavailable. Sometimes it can tell you more information than that. It will say, cannot identify the lane lines, or it will say this road is not mapped, or it will say you're in a construction zone or something like that. But SuperCruise is a pretty comprehensive system. So those are the basics of SuperCruise. That's how this whole thing works. It really does not take a lot of input from you. You don't even have to have a destination entered in the truck's navigation or in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. If you do, great. It'll show all your information on the screens, on the HUD, but it does not influence how the truck drives. The SuperCruise will follow the road if the road is mapped, if you push the button and all conditions are met. whether you've got navigation running or not. So with all that, I'm gonna hook up my trailer. Let's talk about how this thing works, doing hands-free driving with SuperCruise with a 20-foot enclosed trailer hooked up behind this Chevy Silverado. But I've got that white steering wheel icon, so all I do is push one button on the steering wheel. I've got a green line here. I've got green in the heads-up display. Hands off the wheel, feet off the pedals. I can sit like this, I can dance, I can do whatever, I can do the Macarena, and the truck is just driving. Now, the one thing that SuperCruise cannot do with a trailer hooked up, which it can do in this truck if the trailer's not attached, is change lanes. So right now, I'm in the left lane. I don't need to be in the left lane. Everyone's already, gone by me. I'm gonna move to the right. If the trailer was not hooked up, I could just tap the turn signal and we would move over, or if the truck detected slow traffic that I was coming up on, it would just find a gap in traffic, put the signal on, and move for me. Now, when I put the signal on here, it says auto lane change, unable to change lanes. It keeps the cruise control on, so the throttle's still doing its thing. I've got a blue band here and blue in the heads-up display with the steering wheel. And what that means is that I'm doing the steering. Now, as soon as I take my hand off the turn signal and we complete the lane change, the truck says, okay, you're back in a lane, everything is green, I'm good again. Now we're out of a SuperCruise zone, so it rumbled the seat, it flashed red, and it said SuperCruise is disabled. So the road that we're on right here is kind of a mix of highway, and then you're in the middle of kind of a more populated area. There's schools and houses and stuff right here. As soon as we got through that intersection, SuperCruise is good to go again. Let's party. So, like I said, I have driven the majority of this trip hands-free. Now, it is really, really wild. We're coming up on a curve in the road. This is what really made me nervous at first. And truly, I'm just gonna go hands off here, and we're doing the curve. This is a fairly gentle curve. The truck will do more aggressive curves than this one, and it's just totally fine with it. There are certain curves with the trailer hooked up that it deems too tight, and it will not want to do them on its own. And it will give you a pretty decent warning. It rumbles the seat. So if you've driven an older GM truck or SUV, they've had the seat rumbling where if you're drifting out of your lane, it would rumble the seat to warn you. Well, they've repurposed that here so that if SuperCruise is about to deactivate, it will rumble the seat and it flashes this light bar red. So it does a lot to warn you, to tell you, hey, you got to get right back on the wheel and take control. But this has really been remarkable. I mean, this has been the thing that I have so desperately wanted for long highway travel with my trailer, and I am floored that it's working. I'm floored that it's working as well as it is. I have not had any scary moments, truly, with 207 miles of super cruising, or the bulk of that being super cruising. Even on roads that are tighter than this without as much shoulder, where there's the rumble strip right after the white line, and it's a much tighter road with a series of curves, it's all just been fine. Really, really remarkable. Now, I do, of course, have the truck in tow haul mode for the drive mode. That changes how the transmission shifts and the throttle responds and all that good stuff. This one does have adaptive suspension, so it'll stiffen things up a little bit to compensate for that tongue weight. And otherwise, SuperCruise knows you've got a trailer plugged in either way, just because you've got the wiring plugged in. Now, I'm going behind some other Chevy, some person who's probably 300 years old in what appears to be a Malibu. I'm putting my foot in it to get up because this is a big hill, and they're going probably 38 miles an hour. Graham is just terrified, but we're past her, so back off, let SuperCruise do its thing. The one thing that I know they're doing this for safety, and really all of us towing trailers could stand to be a little more careful, I think. Even on the smallest gap where you set the gap you want on the car in front of you, it still gives you some generous space, which I appreciate. I'm sure they had to do it for the sake of safety and liability and all that. But you have to really pay attention. If you come up on a car that's going slower and you don't really realize it, you could end up going 40 miles an hour in a 60. So just something to think about. But other than that, yeah, tow mode down here, and everything otherwise, we're just chilling. I've had a lot of time to explore the infotainment system, the sound system, the seats, everything. It's all quite nice. The new interior in these trucks is really a nice big update from the outgoing model, that Silverado Limited, if you will. Those just felt kind of dated. They were totally serviceable. I just thought they were very outgunned by all the competition. Now, this new interior, this is the high country, so this is the fully loaded model, but they're all of a similar layout and design and materials and all that good stuff. Love the nice infotainment. This is the new Chevrolet or GM, general infotainment system. This one is very widescreen layout, which I like. Now, I've got Apple CarPlay going here. It is wireless. It does not take up the full width of the screen, which on the one hand is a little bit of a bummer. On the other hand, I've got full screen maps from Google Maps here, and then I can see the song that's playing via the Chevrolet system. So kind of the same deal. I don't really mind it. You can also swipe through and have a couple other things up here to include your trailer lights. So it'll keep a constant monitor on your trailer lights, and if something is wrong, it will let you know on that screen. Now, as far as setting up the trailer, that was a very easy process when I plugged it in. It just said, hey, is this a new trailer or something that you've already set up? This truck had no trailers set up in the system, so it just assumed that it was something new. And it just asks you a couple basic questions to start, and then there are a lot of other trailer safety options and software that you can configure if you're willing to measure everything and put in all of the trailer's dimensions between, length and width and height and all that stuff, number of axles. I did not do that just because of time. I was really pushing to get out the door when I was leaving, but that enables a few other software and safety items as far as anti-jackknife assist and a little bit better trailer sway control, those sorts of things. But SuperCruise with the trailer works without doing any of that. Now, I don't know if you noticed there, I looked away for just a touch too long and the steering wheel was blinking green, which was to say, hey, dummy, pay attention to the road. You can't be looking over here too much. So when it does that, you get a second where you can course correct and it won't disable. If it does disable, it will flash red, it will turn the whole system off, and I believe there is a point where it will actually just bring the truck to a stop in your lane, which is, ultimately sounds a little scary, but is probably for the best safety-wise, just because a lot could happen with what we're doing right now. Not everyone will pay as much attention as they should, so Chevy's really trying to make sure you do. A couple other interesting things that they do enable here. Tow haul mode reminder, so if you plug the trailer in but don't select tow mode on the dashboard, it'll just chime and remind you. And then the other thing is theft alert. So if you park the truck, you lock the truck, and theft alert is turned on, and someone unplugs the trailer's electrical connector from the back of the truck, it will sound the truck alarm right away. Love that. I think it's an extra little safety touch. If you're leaving the whole rig overnight somewhere in particular, that is a really, really clever thing. All right, now we're coming up on some slowed traffic. There's been a crash here. It's kind of a nasty crash. And we're slowing down again, hands-free. Ooh. Okay, that was a rollover with a Sienna. I hope everyone's okay there. Again, slowed right down, no intervention on my part, and now we're going to speed right back up in front of the traffic ahead of me. It is important to mention with SuperCruise, it's not paying attention to stoplights. So if there's no one in front of you and you can see a stoplight coming that is, yellow or red, you need to slow down for that, just like with other cruise control. If you have the following distance gap set really, really far, it may do that, but it's not designed to do it explicitly. So what it's meant to do is at speed highway travel. Now, other than SuperCruise, as far as just how this truck is towing the trailer and what kind of a place it is to spend a bunch of time in, since I've spent 3 or 4 hours in it so far today already, it's towing the trailer really well. This, like I said, has the 6.2 liter V8, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque with the 10-speed automatic. It's a really nice combination. I have done this drive before with the GM 5.3 liter V8 and the 10-speed, and I thought that felt really overworked and overmatched to the trailer that I was pulling, which is right about almost 7,000 pounds. So this feels like a way better pairing. As far as how it is to spend time with otherwise, I mentioned infotainment's pretty good. Sound system by Bose, also quite good. I really have been enjoying it. The controls here on the center stack are also really nicely done. You've got nice big controls for your climate control, for your temperature dials in particular, real volume knob, some real hard buttons here. This is another nice example of how to do a big touch screen with a lot of options buried in here, a lot of customization buried in here, but still plenty of hard buttons to make sure that you're, doing everything, quick access with hard buttons that you can deal with without taking your eyes off the road. Although with SuperCruise, maybe that's less of a concern. Either way, love the interior design. I think this is nice. The dash is nice and low. The truck itself feels tall. The door sills are not super tall, but the hood and the hood line and everything is tall. So I don't love that. It took me a minute to get comfortable and find the best seating position. It feels, I hate the term bathtubby when it's not super bad. The front of it with the dash and everything does feel kind of high. The door sills are lower and they don't feel quite so intimidating, if you will, or difficult to see out of. But the dash is a little bit high. This shifter is new for Chevrolet, new for the Silverado. This is one of those mono-stable shifters that always wants to sit in the middle and you kind of rock it forward and back for reverse and drive. There is a button on the side to pull and hold while you shift, and then park is a separate button. This, so far, and I've only been driving this truck for a day so far, so, opinions may change after a week, but this has been not finicky. You just have to pay more attention to it than you would several other shift methods. But I think the more you drive it, the more this will become second nature. Otherwise, plenty of good storage going on in here. Cup holders, little storage cubby, big storage cubby. There's wireless charging somewhere. There's door panel pockets, and there's space everywhere for storage, which I really, really like. This interior is gorgeous. It's kind of a navy blue. I don't know how well that comes across on camera, but it's like a navy blue with some brown stitching. Super duper nice. I love that we're seeing more blue interiors in trucks, so please buy them. Don't buy black. This is way cooler, way more interesting, and we need to pump the sales numbers up of all these interesting interiors to make sure they continue to be offered. This with the wood trim everywhere, and then this kind of beigey silvery accent along the dash is it's a good look. I really dig it. Ride quality is really quite nice. Like I said, this has the adaptive suspension, so I have only really driven it with the trailer hooked up so far, but very well, well composed, well mannered. It's very nicely tuned between compression and rebound, even over those big expansion joints that want to get everything upset. I think, they really had to tune this well, especially with SuperCruise, because if your hands are not on the wheel and you hit some expansion joints with a trailer that want to move the whole rig around, it has to be able to control itself. So they've done a nice job with it. And then brakes, of course, have been fine. Your trailer brake controller is right here. Pedal has good initial feel, good feel through the pedal travel. No concerns there either. Price-wise on this one, you're looking a little above $70,000. I think this is about $72,000. Now, the one interesting thing is I don't know if SuperCruise is available on all of these or not because of course, ongoing chip shortage fun. But if you can get it, this is a total game changer. It's a couple $1,000s. So worth it. You can't fall asleep. You can't be looking around. You still have to pay attention. You still have to make sure everything is happening properly and be ready to take over. Keep your eyes up. Make sure that, if there's people coming down an on-ramp, make sure you move over, that sort of thing. But it reduces cognitive load quite a bit. And I mean, this is wild to me. I'm going 68 miles an hour, not touching anything, and I have been the entire time we've been recording. I find that just crazy. All right, and that is it for this review of the 2022 Chevy Silverado High Country with 6.2 liter V8 with SuperCruise with trailering functionality. Thank you so much for coming along. As always, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe right here on YouTube if you like what we're up to. You can follow us on other social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Out Motorsports. And if you'd like to connect with other LGBT automotive enthusiasts and motorsports competitors, head over to outmotorsports.com. We have a whole community over there hosting virtual and in-person events, and we would love to get to know you in one or both of those ways. Till next time, please stay safe, be well, and we'll see you again soon.